Gaurav had everything he needed to succeed, except for an accurate internal clock. Like many capable people, he lived under the quiet illusion that tomorrow always carries an endless supply of hours. Instead of working, he filled his days with the comfortable friction of passive habits, endless doom scrolling and hanging out with friends, actively burning through the daylight he swore he'd use later. But while he stayed exactly where he was, his peers were moving. Semester by semester, their test scores rose, their skills deepened, and the gap between Gaurav and everyone else kept widening. Standing still for too long had left him at a permanent disadvantage. He looked at his peers and realized that his short breaks had actually become months of total stagnation. Desperate for a system that actually worked, he finally sought out a respected elder in his city, a man known for his strict discipline and quiet meditation. Gaurav didn't ask for comforting words. He laid out his failures and asked for the exact mechanics of how to stop falling behind and start overtaking his peers. The elder identified the core problem. Gaurav was operating on a massive miscalculation of how quickly time actually disappears. To explain this, the elder told a story about a remarkably generous king and a chronically lazy beggar who blamed the world for his poverty. The king offered this beggar an absolute, life-changing deal. He could enter the royal vault and take as much gold as he could carry, but the vault doors would lock precisely at sunset. The beggar rushed home to share the news with his wife, but instead of turning right back around, he demanded a slow, comfortable home-cooked meal before heading to the palace. This is the trap of the distant deadline. Because the sun was still high in the sky, the beggar felt a false sense of abundance, assuming the evening was comfortably far away. Heavy with food, he justified what he promised himself would be a short nap. That quick rest swallowed 2 perfectly good hours. When time feels infinite, tiny comforts easily hijack our intentions, silently killing opportunities before we even realize we're running out of clock. When the beggar finally woke up, the panic set in. He grabbed his bags and was suddenly sprinting out onto the hot, dusty road. But the heat was exhausting, and he made his second fatal surrender. He stopped to cool off under the shade of a breezy tree, and that breeze lulled him into a massive 4-hour sleep. This timeline breaks down exactly what happened. The window of opportunity was strictly fixed. By stacking a slow meal, a 2-hour nap, and a 4-hour sleep, the beggar systematically burned through every available hour of daylight. By the time he woke up for the second time, he had already lost. He just didn't know it yet. The mathematical threshold for success had been crossed while he was unconscious. He ran the rest of the way, but he arrived exactly as the sun dipped below the horizon, and the heavy palace, doors locked, him out for good. His empty hands weren't the result of bad luck or a society that rejected him. They were the direct result of his refusal to operate within the rigid constraints of a ticking clock. Back in the present, the weight of the story hit Gaurav. He realized he was doing the exact same thing, treating his youth like a long afternoon, napping away his potential. The elder's final point was clear. Time is a strictly non-refundable currency. You can spend it on momentary comfort, but the only receipt you get in return is regret. Gaurav responded by stripping away his daily distractions. He replaced his morning scrolling with focused study blocks and stopped allowing minor social invitations to bleed into his work hours. This shift didn't produce a miracle overnight. It took months of choosing the library over the lounge and the textbook over the feed. But as his focused hours accumulated, his grades began to climb, until he eventually surpassed the very peers he used to envy to become the top student in his college. An open door has zero value if you don't have the discipline to walk through it before it closes. True personal growth only begins the moment you stop borrowing time from tomorrow.